Hi, Matt.
Brenner, how are you doing?
I am doing very well, and yourself?
Well, it's lovely to see you.
Great, likewise. Thanks a lot for making time out.
Oh, you know what? This is one I have been looking forward to, and I know we've had a few diary issues aligning it. So I'm glad we got there and persevered, and yeah, looking forward to chatting as always.
Awesome, Matt. Thanks a lot. Prince, are we all set?
Yes, we're all set. We have 10 people in the room now, so let's just give maybe a second or two for more people to join and we'll just get started.
Awesome, awesome.
Once again, if you're just joining us, welcome to Octamile series. This is a webinar series where we'll bring professionals from all over the world to come and have impactful conversations for the insurance industry in Africa and emerging markets as well. So thank you for joining us once again. My name is Prince and we'll get started just in a bit. Thank you.
Now, Brenner, I don't know why we're not doing this in Africa, right? I'd much rather be jumping on an aeroplane and joining you over there than what's a pretty miserable UK at the moment.
Absolutely, we need to work towards that for another edition.
Next time.
Of this. Absolutely.
When we turn the tables and I interview you.
Sounds perfect. Sounds perfect.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Gbenro. Hi, Matt. Welcome again to this webinar on the growing importance of digital insurance in Africa. Over the last couple of years, digitization has become increasingly prevalent in Africa, with more and more people accessing the internet and using digital devices. This has led to a significant shift in customer behavior. And if we look at the banking space, you can really see this shift as well. If you look at the e-commerce space, you can really see this shift. As customers now expect to be able to also access insurance products and services through digital channels. The result of this is basically insurance companies in Africa are increasingly turning to digital solutions to really meet the needs of their customers and the market. In this webinar today, we will explore various aspects of digital insurance transformation in Africa, including the opportunities and challenges it presents, the latest trends, innovations in the space, and best practices for implementation, whether you are on the insurance business side of things or you are on the business side of things, looking at how digital solutions can impact your community via your products or using embedded insurance. We'll look at all that today. So to get us started, just some webinar housekeeping. Basically, we would like to hear you and also for you to get heard. So when you join, please make sure that you're muted. Leverage the chat box to ask questions. We're really happy to have your questions answered. Matt is here, Gbenro is here as well. So a bit about Octamile. At Octamile, we build digital solutions that help insurance businesses to achieve their digital transformation goals, as well as for businesses to also achieve digitizing insurance value chain in their ecosystem. If you look at what the stats are saying about how insurance has been done over the years, that 3% of insurance premiums has been sort of projected to come from brand new propositions that haven't really existed in this space. And looking at this trends from the reports of Deloitte Insurance Trends, you would understand that no better time for insurers and businesses to start looking at how they can leverage this for growth than now. So a bit about our speakers. Welcome once again, Matt. Matt is basically someone that enjoys what he does. He has over 20 years of experience in the space. He's worked with several insurance organizations, big companies, advising them, and just basically sharing how they can do what they do better. Joining us also is our CEO, Ben Rodara, who is founder and CEO of Octamile. Octamile is a VC insurtech backed startup. We focus on enabling financial protections for Africans via insurance. Ben has over 10 years of experience across several spaces as well, fintech businesses in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya. Benro has an MBA from the Lagos Business School, and interestingly, he's also a member of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. Also, something to point out there is that Benro actually studied insurance as well. He ran away, but I think that I like to always say that insurance has caught up with him and is now brought him to contribute his own quota to innovating. So Matt and Benro, thank you so much and welcome to today's Octamile webinar series. And right now, I would hand over to Benro for the conversation to begin. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you so much, Princeville, for the introduction. It's always a pleasure to speak to Matt. Matt is someone who super highly connected in the entire insurtech space, and very, very knowledgeable on the topic of digital transformation. So I've been privileged to have multiple conversations with Matt, and I thought it was going to be very, very valuable to open this opportunity up to the wider insurance community in Africa. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We have people joining us from different parts of Africa, Nigeria, Kenya. I see a couple of people from Ghana. It's a pleasure to have everyone. The topic of insurance digitization has been one that everyone has talked about for quite a while. The big elephant in the room, Matt, has always been that insurance penetration in Africa has always been less than 3% or even lower. We believe that digital transformation is going to play a significant role in being able to drive insurance penetration in Africa. And Octamile, that's one of our key theses. And so what we'd love to get from your own thoughts, your own experience, what you think about the topic of insurance digitization on the continent of Africa. I know you have a lot of experience outside Africa, in Europe, part of North America. We'd love to learn from your own experiences in those markets and translate that to how insurers in Africa can learn from this to improve customer engagement and increase access to insurance.
Yeah, lovely. Well, look, first and foremost, thanks for having me on. It's yeah, we always have good fun when we chat, right? So let's hopefully we can keep that going as well as shape some of the conversation around the questions you're asking. So yeah, I think it's super interesting, and I'd love to possibly for every question sort of bring that global dimension as well, because I think there's a lot of learning to be had from what is and has taken place elsewhere to what is and will be taking place in the African market, which in itself is so varied and enormous, and and somewhat like the European space, kind of needs to be broken down a little bit as well. But you talk about the massive sort of lack of insurance, right? The 3% mark, which is nuts, and there's a load of really interesting studies kicking around, and I think the most interesting for me was cited the fact that still insurance companies in Africa are focused on improving the life of their customers as opposed to the 97%, right? And even within your question, it's around the customer experience, and it's like, oh, absolutely, right? Let's get that 3%, and it's the easiest, lowest hanging fruit to upsell, to increase, and to improve relationships with, and turn into advocates to get the remainder. But there is such an enormous market and opportunity out there for incumbents, in the African market, right? So I think it's a really nascent opportunity, and lots of these insurance companies also are B2B focused, right, as opposed to B2C, so business to business as opposed to business to consumer. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. So we're kind of like starting. Starting with a bit of a blank piece of paper in front of us when it comes to Africa, right? So that's super exciting in itself. And then I think really it's a terminology one, right? So today I'm sure we've used digitization, we've used transformation. I talk a lot about innovation, but really what we're talking about is moving from A to B, right? So it's we're currently serving A and we need to be serving B, or it's a time horizon which we need to get to B faster than we're currently getting, or whatever. But what we've seen, and forgive me, it's almost a cliche to be talking about the COVID being that accelerant towards digitization on a global basis. But the long and short is there's a level of maturity, right? And I mean, even in my introduction, so way too kind, but you talk about me being, or your colleague at least, talks about me being super connected. It's because I've been in this industry for so long right now. And I say so long in terms of kind of like nearly 10 years of insure tech. And that's the thing, right? So, we started out an industry where we talked about new companies like the Octamiles of the world coming into this space and disrupting, stealing your lunch, I don't know, like the incumbents, their day is over, etc. And what we actually realize is it's a beautiful, mature market where the incumbents have huge reach and connection, and in some instances, strong brands. And you have a world of startups, and I mean it world in a truly global sense, a world of startups who are predominantly enablers to help these big incumbents move from A to B faster or better, or more relevantly. And so when it comes to kind of customer experience or net new innovation into the market, what we're seeing is truly a global swell of incredible companies like yours, like others, which have been around. Some are super new, some have been around for like 10 plus years now, and it's a set of companies that demonstrate enormous breadth, right? So you may be a startup or a scale up solely focused on working with insurance companies. Equally, you might be coming from, I don't know, there's like, is a glucose monitoring health tech an insure tech, or is there somebody who's tracking kind of marine shipping IoT? I don't know, whatever it is, right? But these guys are also coming into the world of insurance. So insurance is massively broad, it's massively global. The likelihood that the right innovation partner is going to be around the corner, I mean, I don't know, wherever, Lagos, or I don't know whether it's South Africa or North or whatever it is, right? It's pretty unlikely. Could they be in China or the UK or North America? Yeah, for sure. And equally, they're relevant for African insurtechs, right? They don't need to just be serving the local market. They can be serving a global market, right? So it's truly looking more globally when it comes to considering where those innovation opportunities lie, or digitization or transformation opportunities lie. So yeah, so in answer to your question, how do Africa's emerging markets leverage all of this technology? It's like, think global, think broad, look at what the needs are, and then align those needs to the companies that exist out there, and focus on that kind of partnership route. I'm sure we'll come and dive into a little bit, but appreciate I'm on a bit of a monologue for my first answer. Hopefully, Bernard, that gives you some insight into where my head's at.
Absolutely. I think your first answer lived up to expectation, Matt. We all knew this was going to be a nugget-filled session. So definitely want to note there, think global, think a lot from the customer's point of view, and think about partnerships as well. That's one point of view that we've always come from, trying to ensure that the ecosystem sees a lot of opportunities to collaborate, whether it's insurtech partnering with the incumbents, or it's insurtech partnering with fintechs or offline players. There's a lot of opportunity to collaborate in the market that we see. So sure, moving on to my next question, Matt. Talking about top trends. So we see a lot of trends, a lot of buzzwords, AI, cloud infrastructure, big data, analytics, telematics. For you, what do you think are the top three technologies that we need to look out for in terms of digital insurance transformation? Or generally, what are the top trends you're seeing there?
I know it's really difficult for me, right? Because I'm a strategist, not a technologist. So I'm going to answer you because you asked from a technology lens. So I'll give you a technology answer, but also I might broaden it out as well. So you're right about the buzzwords, right? And again, we all have a good laugh at all the pitch decks that talk about AI and ML and I don't know, whatever, chat GPT and and everything else, right? That we've got to, and rightly so, because every company should be looking to better their solutions in whatever way they can, right? To bring to the market. So I think if we bundle all that up, right? So we publish a lot of information on who are the leading insurtechs on a global basis, but in particular markets or particular aspects of the value chain and whatnot. And so, yeah, so absolutely, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic process automation, right? So those three come up again and again and again, and really where they lend themselves to is that kind of supporting process across the value chain, but accelerating in particular kind of underwriting or claims, loss control, and all of that is kind of key to improving efficiency. So I'd kind of bundle those technologies under kind of an efficiency drive,
Right.
and you lined it to transformation, and it really is when companies are looking at insurtech, they're looking at either how do we make ourselves more efficient, or how do we create new growth opportunities, right? And they bridge them both, but there's a lot of operational benefit that these guys can bring. I think another trend that is local to you, is global equally, is around kind of sustainability and ESG. And I think truly on a global basis, there is no choice, but we have to be looking at this stuff, right? So it's a big importance from a regulatory perspective, from a customer lens, particularly kind of millennials, Gen Z. There is a real kind of demand for this social change aspect, and as well as that, kind of my point around this, kind of the global weather is just absolutely nuts at the moment, right? So it's kind of it's a real wake-up call to we have to be doing something about this, and the role of the insurer is key within that. So you got efficiency with a bunch of the buzzwords. You've got sustainability and ESG, and then I think one that you guys play neatly within is this kind of the rise of the non-insurance players. Yeah, it's this kind of so embedded is definitely part of that play. But it's the shift towards the kind of the platforms that kind of focus on kind of infrastructure, or allow the kind of the B2B2C model play out, or big tech, and it really is insurers are looking for new revenue streams. You've got the retailers kind of looking for keeping their demanding customer base happy, and you've got this really neat convergence of those two worlds. And so I think we'll see it on a global basis, but really in emerging markets, I think it's where it's incredibly exciting. And so Africa being the forefront of that is the opportunity to access. So for me as a customer, a punter, as a member of the public, is how do I access insurance company? How do I access insurance? It may not be through the traditional routes, right? So it may not be through the broker that I may have gone to. It may not be through the insurance company that I've gone to. It may not be whatever, but actually it may be with the retailers, or when I buy something, I also get. And so I think that's really changing. I think that's super interesting. And then I've got a bunch of other strategic trends, which I may not bore you with now, but maybe come on to.
Thanks a lot, Matt. So what are the technology, and you're talking a little bit more about strategy. So chatbots. A lot of insurers love the sound of chatbots. So what do you think from a strategy point of view we should think about insurers, creating new experiences? What do you think chatbots can really help, not just from a technology point of view, but from a strategy point of view?
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? So chatbots is a really good example. So earlier I talked about, the kind of the global aspect of insurtech. So we had a we have a European client, but they had a drive to reduce their call center volume from the tens of millions down to ideally something below that, right? So where better to look at heavy investments into artificial intelligence, the rise of chatbots, than to go to China, right? So not that they wanted to work with Chinese companies necessarily, but they were open to the idea, but potentially not with their very highly sensitive data, etc. Right? So we took an immersion trip. We went out to we took a whole bunch of these guys, flew them out to China, and immersed them for a week into the Chinese tech ecosystem, right? With a focus on chatbots. Super interesting, especially when you're talking about, like, it's a different language, right? But ultimately it's the technology that sits above that, not caring for language at all. So we dived into it, and then we were sitting with the Alibaba guys, right? So the Amazon for China. I don't know how familiar you are with Alibaba, but I'm sure they're pretty much every single possible place at the moment. And so we're sitting with the Alibaba guys, and they were talking about their call centers are 95% handled through chatbots. I mean, imagine the size and the volume of the number of calls coming through that. Now being handled. So I thought that was just an alarmingly amazing figure, right? And so it's like, actually, what are the lessons that we can learn from there, right? So the use of chatbots within call centers, or for handling and managing kind of customer interaction. So and flip that out to maybe a more kind of Western version is Lemonade, right? They've got a couple of great chatbots that handle a whole bunch of stuff that are really sophisticated, and that they have beautiful interactions where the customer feels supported, loved, cared for, and gets ultimately the result that they're keen on. Whether it's quote or claim. So I think there's something. I would bucket as chatbots being one of many things to explore. I think it's a really interesting area. I think sort of broaden that or step that up into the world of kind of AI. It's how is that going to be used in underwriting, or maybe pricing rather, all the way through to the kind of that claims journey. And I think also there's maybe a kind of another extension to that, and there's something really interesting around how kind of emerging markets can accelerate at a pace so much quicker than those more mature markets around them, right? Because you've seen what does the learnings of what does and doesn't work are kind of already out there, and kind of you can navigate kind of different routes to get to that same end result. And I think one really interesting space for me, that's kind of to do with chatbots, kind of to do with AI. So I hope I'm not taking it too divergent here, but it's there's a real sense that insurance is moving beyond protecting somebody to preventing them from ever requiring that protection. So in a health context, right? It's I could claim on my health insurance because I'm ill, but equally my insurer is now moving me towards not getting ill, so that claim is never made, right? And it's the same from a driving perspective. It's it's all the great stuff that you and others are doing. It's kind of like, it's helping us avoid having those crashes or those accidents that therefore we need to claim, right? So
yeah,
I think this kind of the role of AI in this prevention space, I think is particularly interesting as well. And I see that definitely as the next chapter for insurance globally, and possibly one that you guys will move towards much quicker than we have historically in the I guess more mature markets.
Fantastic. Definitely one to think about there, one to churn on how AI can actually help a lot with processes and helping to launch new products for the insurance industry in Africa. I'll quickly move to another very interesting aspect of digital transformation that comes to everybody's mind in terms of it's easier said than done. There are lots of challenges that the incumbents, the insurance industry is stuck with today, legacy systems, data protection rules that they have to adhere to, complicated data management systems, cyber security, and of course, even the point about talent and culture. I remember I myself, one of the reasons why I went ahead to do the insurance Chartered Institute of Insurance exam was because I felt I really needed to be a part of the insurance culture. There's some insurance culture there, like almost like an insurance cabal that sort of also limits the thinking within to very technical. So if you tell an insurance person to explain, the terms of a policy, you probably hear a lot of technical terms and all. And so also even innovate, it's also a challenge that how do we attract talent and also, in fact, build a culture around transformation. What do you think are the main challenges that insurers should look out for? And how do you think they can overcome these challenges? Any ideas for us?
Yeah, look, I mean, I totally align. I think where you were getting to, and my number one point, the number one challenge is around culture, and you're talking about it very broadly at a industry level, but it's also critically true at a company level, right? So it's so recently we just had a big conference in the UK, which was the InsurTech Insights European conference, and the keynote on the first day was a lady called so she's the ex-chair of the Lloyd's, Damon Gabriel, and she was talking about culture within that organization, and just as an industry, how I think there are something like 5,000 people sitting. Oh, okay, maybe not in that auditorium, but 5,000 people at the event, a good few hundred in this auditorium, and she's talking about we're here, and just as you and I are, right? We're passionate about insurance, we're passionate about innovation and driving change for the future. But equally, we step outside our little kind of four walls and tell our friends that we work in insurance. It's like, are you kidding me, right? And it's just like, how why is that still the thing? But it really is, and I'm sure it's the same for you as it is for me. And I'm absolutely the butt of jokes, but so be it, right? Because I love this stuff and I think it's great. So how on earth do we attract more talent? So I think starting at a company level, if culturally there's not a belief and acceptance that change must happen right from the top, change won't happen. All right. And so I think that's kind of the first thing to say is that it has to be CEO, C-suite buy-in for the need to change, right? So this isn't innovation theater, right? It's not them saying, look, we'll allow X million to set up an innovation team, we'll make a few investments, whatever it is. This is fundamentally our business must change for it to survive, or must change for it to stay relevant, or must change for it to grow, right? And therefore you can get in behind that and go, right, how do we make change happen, right? So again, whether transformation, digitization, innovation. So culture's number one. Then the second thing I genuinely believe is capability, right? And I see that as, so how capable are we as a team, or capable in buying in, additionals to make this change. So I break that into two. So it's kind of skill set. So what is the skill set that we have or require? And what is the mindset that we have or require? And I believe skill set and mindset come together, and that equals capability. So I see kind of cultural leadership. There must be a desire for that change. Then there has to be a kind of a capability play, and then it really is kind of executing the right strategy. Okay, so I'll go back to this this way of thinking. And for me, kind of moving the dial from A to B is the options are somewhat limited, right? So historically, what we have done in these big insurance companies is we've built new technology, new services, new offerings, new whatever it be. And you have a team, who work from everything from the kind of UX through to the back end and the QA, and you've got these guys lined up and they're creating new stuff and they're okay at it. And but it takes a long time, and you've got your product roadmap set out, and it's just kind of fast becoming not the way to do business, right? Because actually there's a high level of failure in that. It's pretty slow, it costs a lot of money and so on. So you can build or you can buy, right? So you can acquire companies. So there are, as I said earlier, right, absolutely tons of global insurtechs and broader that may help you get from A to B. So you can buy them in. Yeah, culturally, how do you embed them without losing that talent? How do you pay the right amount of money? Because there's there has been some seriously inflated valuations kind of kicking around, etc. Equally, maybe it's not about buy, maybe it's not about build, maybe you want to invest, right? And that's a kind of a de-risking play, which actually we might make money from these guys in the future and bring them closer, maybe. And the big one that we're seeing is this partnership route, right? So buy, build, partner being pretty much the third pillar, if not fourth. And this partner route, so the kind of the open innovation ecosystem, it's incredibly cheap. It's potentially free, and you both make money off stuff, but potentially it's just a very affordable route. It delivers returns incredibly quickly, because you can get a POC up and running within a couple of weeks. You can then validate that POC in a few more weeks, and then off you go into scale. And what we're seeing is on a global basis, we're seeing this absolute drive and shift and focus towards, for sure, all of those, however, open innovation. So this partnership route is critical. So how is the industry changing? Open innovation is a key play, right? So get the culture right, get the capability in play, and then scout for the right partners to bring in and validate those partnership opportunities as early as you possibly can, without spending too much money, too much time, too much staff cost, etc., and then take that out to market. And that's what we're seeing as a kind of a successful play.
Awesome, man. Fantastic. Lots of things to think about. So I think very important things that I hear you say is, talent, deliberately building that capability, and also being open to partnerships rather than building. Sometimes building might actually be the way, but being open to partnerships or collaborating with across the ecosystem. So you already touched a lot around partnerships from a point of view of non-insurance businesses. Agencies and brokers often feel left out from the topic of digital transformation. How do you think, and I know we have a couple of brokers on this call, how should they think about it from a strategy point of view as well? Do you think there's a big opportunity as well for the agencies and brokers?
Yeah, I mean, so ask me 5 years ago, and it had been a different story. And I think I was definitely in the camp of, I don't know if these brokers are going to be around much longer, and it really was kind of because you saw there was a real shift from or towards these full stack disruptive insurtechs that were going head to head with the incumbents, and they were going to create new market opportunities. And actually what you've seen is the most successful of those are the ones that tie up with the brokers, right? So the WeFoxes of the world is a great example of some guys in Germany, for those who haven't come across them. But so actually the role of the broker, a fundamental, critical, key, whichever word we want to choose around that, right? So the future of the broking world looks rosy, but I think then it's as any company, right? So Octamile and your competitors, Sonr and ours, for Mr. or Mrs. Broker who's on the webinar, and their competitors around them. It's about how do we ensure that we stay relevant, right? The world is still changing around us. You have a really important role to play as a broker in that trust, in that experience, which allows you to kind of, all the nuance of the request and being able to provide the right cover for that. And then just the kind of human connection, which is still hugely important. And I appreciate there's a generation coming through where that is less relevant, right? In part. But you still have a really important role to play. And yet you do have to be cognizant of the changing customer demands, right? And again, a cliche that's very well trodden is, you know, I don't know, certainly for me, during COVID, we got so used to buying everything from Amazon that was delivered in, you know, X hours or X days or whatever the relative comparison is for you. So, you know, things like immediacy, transparency, mobility, choice, all of these things become second nature to me as a consumer. So I expect it from any party that I deal with, whether it be Amazon or that be my local broker, right? So there's a kind of keeping up with the times that has to happen, and that's in part going to be driven through a technological lens as well. But yeah, our brokers here to say yeah, and do they serve a value in this kind of a purpose in the value chain? 100%. But there has to be a continuous kind of kind of monitoring of this kind of evolution and then a thinking around how to remain relevant within that.
Yeah. So I think the learning here for all of us really is that the big elephant in the room is that customer demands, customer needs are changing really fast. And we all need to evolve our product, whether it's insurance provider, whether it's broker, agencies, to meet these evolving needs of this new demography of people, this new demand for insurance products, this 97% people that we describe who have not previously enjoyed insurance, just don't have access to insurance. So just so that we give some time for our audience to also ask some questions. I have one more question on my mind is from a regulatory point of view, what role do you think regulators have to play, if any? Any tips for, like in Nigeria, for example, the regulators have been super helpful and encouraging in trying to make sure that the insurers themselves innovate, and they also are really bullish about the opportunity that digital transformation presents. So are there any, what are your thoughts for the regulators?
Yeah, I feel like you can't say the word. It's really nice that you just said what you did, Gwynner, but it's because it's like, I think it's really easy to say the word regulator. It's like, boo, you know, they're the enemy, they're the baddies, right? And yet they've got excuse me, they've got a really important job to do, and it's kind of that level of governance is absolutely critical, right? Otherwise it'll be the Wild West and off we go. But like for us as innovators, we have to have regulators that A, get it, and B, that want it, right? And it really is, it's as you were saying about your guys, it's kind of those that can recognize the value of what we're doing, believe in the need to innovate, and who can really kind of encourage change within their market. And they've got a big old job to do, right? No, it's not only kind of that regulatory aspect, but they're kind of the advocates of both sides of this, right? So it's really kind of pushing the boundaries with the incumbents, and then it's kind of accepting this kind of bleeding edge innovation, which in many ways can be just like a little bit kind of, oh, how am I going to get my head around what these guys do? That's just not right, or that's just too much, or that's just, you know. So how do you rein that in a controlled fashion? So I see some stuff, and you know, there's some good reports, like with the Beamer Lab guys in Africa a couple of years back. I think they're still running, going strong, if I'm right in saying, and then absolutely. FSD and with their R3 lab, and you know, so you've seen some kind of good stuff kind of kicking around, and equally that's true on a global basis, right? You've got some who are absolutely brilliant, some who are not absolutely brilliant, and it's you know, it's helping all of these guys yeah, be top of their game. So yeah, big old role, but nice to hear at a local level, at least for you. You've got some great guys around you. So well done, then.
Awesome, man. Thanks for highlighting the importance there. So big ups to our regulators, NICOM, for all the support to the industry on the topic of digital transformation. It's been really super exciting going over this topic with you, Matt. Any final words in parting for our audience before I pass it on to my colleague Princeville?
Yeah, I think well, I don't know, yes and no. It depends on who the audience is, right? So feel free to come in with questions around what I'm about to say, guys. But I think I look at something like Africa, and it's just, it gets me excited, right? It gets me excited because it's that white or blank piece of paper analogy I used right at the beginning. There is so much opportunity to do seriously wonderful and also innovative things, right? Insurance is a good thing. It's not just about kind of the commercialization and kind of the money to be made by this kind of underinsured population. There is that, but there's a genuine need and opportunity to help people who are possibly disadvantaged, underinsured in some ways, but who could access this kind of safety net, right? And then that excites me so much, kind of as almost like a social entrepreneur. And so from an opportunities side, I think there's just like a huge thumbs up. Go for it. It's an exciting market. You're really lucky to be locally based and all the rest. Equally, I think it's really worth recognizing that the world is kind of looking at you. It's looking at Latin America. It's looking at Africa and also India. But it's looking at you guys as markets going, actually, there's no reason why we shouldn't be deploying a load of cash to help create change in those markets. And so if kind of, I know it's a kind of crazy, turbulent global market at the moment, but I think there's some really interesting opportunities where if you are an entrepreneur on the ground in Africa, there's a great big market ahead of you, and there could well be some international capital that is available for you to tap into. And I think it's really worth, again, that kind of thinking globally when it comes to that innovation as an entrepreneur as well, because I think there's some good times ahead. I really think so for Africa. So yeah, that's why we need to be doing this in person next time, right, Benro?
Absolutely. We look forward to that, Matt. Look forward to hosting you in Nigeria, in Lagos, whatever city you'd be in. Would love to have a face-to-face conversation on this topic. So thank you so much. I'll just pass it on to my colleague Princeville now, who would help us coordinate the rest of the webinar as well. And I look forward to also hearing questions from the audience, and hopefully you have some insightful answers for them. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, Benro, and thanks to everyone that has joined us so far. Very, very insightful conversation, as always. So many learnings from your experience, Matt, as well. So like Benro had already said, if you have any questions, anything you would like Matt to clear up, please just type your question in the comment section, and I will read it out for Matt to respond to as well. But while you're at it, we just want to sort of use this opportunity to share how we are sort of contributing to the digital transformation in Africa via embedded distribution. So GoCada is a top logistics ride company in Africa as well. So over the years, a big challenge they've had is just how traditional insurance operates. Riders are not able to access the right health packages for them, and also consumers are not able to access ride covers, goods in transit covers. With Octamile's partnership and leveraging Octamile's technology, we partner with GoCada to embed insurance and automate claims within their end. So that process became seamless for them. Anytime there's issues, there's a platform that handles that seamlessly between our technology, the needs of GoCada, their riders and their customers, as well as the insurers. This enabled, like I'd mentioned, goods in transit insurance and rider insurance as well, automated claims handling with underwriters. And one of the things that we've seen with claims handling is that is moved from a couple of weeks, a couple of days based on use cases and different scenarios to just a couple of minutes. And for certain underwriters that are partners, some of the threshold claims can just be paid out in as little as 30 minutes. And what you have is more consumers would end up trusting that insurer, would also end up trusting using a partner like GoCada to be able to deliver whatever goods that they want to do. There's now faster turnaround time around claims when concerns GoCada and our insurance partners as well, and increased customer satisfaction with the sort of the reports we did last quarter. We noticed a 29.6% increase in customer satisfaction. And this is just one place that Octamile is using technology. There's a couple more things that we do around, like Gwenru has mentioned, claims automation, things that we do, as well as distribution platforms, where we're basically changing how and rethinking how the industry uses things around bank assurance, end-to-end platform for insurance distribution and all that. So really exciting times for the African insurance space, and more solutions to announce later on this year. So really look out for that around Octamile. And if you are an insurer here, you can always reach out to us. And like I said, questions, it's time for questions. And I think we have one. Someone said, I know you spoke about brokers, but what can possibly be put in place as an insurtech to include them in the transformation?
So what can an insurtech do to improve brokers?
Yes, like what can possibly be put in place by insurtechs to include brokers in this whole digital transformation process?
Oh, to include, sorry, not improve. Brokers are a route to, amongst other things, a route to distribution, right? So some insurtechs, and I mentioned WeFox, it's definitely worth checking those guys out if you're not familiar with them. So they built, again, excuse the cliche, right? A unicorn, so a business valued over $1 billion, but they built a great big, huge, successful company, and one of their great assets is their broker network. So they work with traditional brokers to get their product to market, and so built within their model and built within the model of other insurtechs who will be looking at WeFox as the case study for this, that they will be thinking like traditional insurance companies in that kind of distribution play, right? Equally, there are lots of other routes to market. And then there's a lot of broker innovation as well, right? So there's a lot of insurtechs that are focused on enabling brokers move from A to B quicker. And so I don't know, not looking to sell our wares, but within Sonr as a platform, you can take a 14-day free trial, which I'd urge you to, and have a look within that platform, because you'll see a lot of the technology enablers that are fit for purpose for the broker market as well. So, if you're looking to evolutionize your business, then there's a lot of partners that you could be working with also. Hopefully that answered that question.
Yes, totally. Thank you so much, Matt. And also, just to share here, from a digital transformation point of view, one of our partners, one of the solutions that we provided for them was for them to be able to automate quotes. So prior to now, when they have different clients where renewing their insurance had to take place because all those different cars needed to they need to get quotes from different insurers, we basically give them access to one of our solutions, which is a platform where they can automate that quote, and immediately they input the type of car and all that. They get the range, the car the vehicle can be insured around. So there's a lot around digital transformations that insurtechs like us at Octamile are doing for the space. If you do have further questions around that, please don't hesitate to reach out to our business team, business@octamile.com, and also check out other channels that you can explore to reach out to us, www.octamile.com. So I see that we don't have any further questions. I want to assume that, especially from my experience, Matt was really crystal clear in answering the questions and really providing a lot of insights around questions.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that for the reason. I like that. I like that one.
Absolutely.
That's the reason.
Yes. Fantastic thing about this session is that a recording of this session would also be available to those of you that had attended this webinar and those that were not able to make it. So on a closing note, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you so much, Benro. Thank you so much to everyone that has joined this session. We're always conscious about time, but I would like to end on this note by saying that digital insurance transformation is not just a trend. It's a necessity for survival and growth of today's insurance industry in Africa and other emerging markets. Embracing transformation can help insurers reach a new height, just as like you've heard Matt say, and also new successes make significant impact on the life of millions of Africans. There's a quote I usually see around insurers, around insurance in Africa, to say that for a country that had so much need around insurance, penetration is not as much as it should be. So we want to begin to see that change. As we close this webinar on the growing importance of digital insurance transformation in Africa, I encourage you to take action. I encourage you to embrace the opportunities that digital transformation presents for you, your business, whether you are a traditional insurance side of things, or you are on the business to consumer side of things, and seeing how you can leverage insurance in your ecosystem. Let's continue to innovate. Let's continue to adapt. Let's continue to provide better insurance products and services to meet the changing needs of customers. Together, we can create a brighter future for the insurance industry in Africa and help drive economic growth and prosperity across the continent. Thank you once again for joining us. Look forward to seeing you. And please do engage with us across social media. It's Octamile. You can find Matt on LinkedIn as well. Benro, you can find Benro Dara on Twitter and as well as on LinkedIn. And you can follow us everywhere across social media at Octamile. We'll stay in touch and see you at the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
It was a pleasure.
Bye, everyone.